Okay, welcome back to the 324. I think that's right. I'm gonna go with it. You know what? This ear's itchy, but I didn't want it to be on mute. Anyways. What's going on? What happened? I don't think anything really going on. Had a night. Well, actually, that's a friggin' lie. I had a nightmare last night about just stressing about mold and allergies and all that. So that's fun. Come down today, and my sibling, my sister, is telling me that she's sick because one of the kids in her class, she was hoping it would just be allergies. Apparently been sniffling and going like onto his arm, and then she's like, okay, you gotta wash your hands again. But then he would get all self-conscious and like, why me? Why do I have to wash my hands twice? And he didn't realize it's because you literally just snotted on your hand. And so she feels sick now, but thank God it doesn't seem like COVID, because it's like her ears and sinuses and stuff, and sore throat versus coughing and fever. So it's like, oh my God. So hopefully, this is why schools should not be open when you can't give vaccines to the children in them, like in the school. I think it would be better if the kids were better at keeping their mask on, but these are not general education kids. They're with like learning disabilities and all that, and like autism, and so problem is it's what 12 and over, and they're trying to work it down to like 7 or something and over, so they're like mid elementary schoolers. So anyways, it just apparently the general education class is also going on a field trip, which would be fantastic and great and whatever. Field trips are great. There's a pandemic though, so I wish instead of going somewhere, maybe they could have brought one person or maybe even a tiny group of people to a classroom or to the school versus going out to somewhere, because oh boy, that's scary. But not my siblings' class, not my sister's class. It's the general education. So but anyway, so my sister's feeling sick, so I'm like, stay away. So she went to bed early because of that, and we're like, if she's sick, she doesn't want to go to school, like to work, because if she gets kids sick, it's not a great thing. So and then also being sick and working, blah blah. But it's like, you don't want to get people sick, so it's like, what do we do? And then the opposite, worst case, it is COVID, and I have to call. She would still have to call the school, and then that has to all be situated, and I would have to call my doctors, and that would have to all be situated, and so it's like, fun. And then one of my eldest sibling is really upset because we have a freezer in the basement. Sounds ominous. We would put, like, if we're making food, like, or blah blah blah, doing certain things, extra food, like big items or whatever, we would put down there as extra, or weird objects or whatever, like just the oldest of stuff, anyways, in there, or at least used to be. I know there used to be an old beer can when I was a kid, and it was not good, because it's just so old. No one drank it, no one cleaned it up. They cleaned it out of there. anyways, we're one of those people also that's like, after it's old, after a certain amount of time, we just keep it there. That's just what I do. That's a whole other story. But anyways, we'll move back to, apparently there's been, so here's a fun fact. I have almost no sense of smell at all. I have very little. If I do smell something, it's usually the reaction my nose has to something, like a little bit of a burning, or if it kind of, especially with allergies, like kind of hurts or it instantly makes blah blah. Usually it's that, or it's in like the back of my throat. I don't usually smell. So apparently, for the last couple of days, our house has been smelling. And no one told me. So that's A, really embarrassing. But two, apparently people were trying to figure out what it was, and they just couldn't figure it out. So my eldest sibling was going around sniffing things, trying to figure out what it was. Apparently the fridge in the basement stopped working, and we had some chicken and some TV dinners and all that, because I didn't know. And I'm like, I would have eaten those, thank you very much, if I knew there were some there. And apparently other people didn't know there was anything there. They didn't know, blah blah, but apparently it smells of rotten meat because of the chicken. And I'm just like, oh god. And apparently you can tell how bad it was because there was a thing of ice we had in the freezer, and it's just pure water now. So that's annoying, and I didn't know existed. Like I didn't know any problems were going on. So I'm like, okay, cool. And but I wanted to not have allergies today so I can play video games and stuff. But because my sister is sick, there's just no way that would have worked. So I'm just like, it's fine. So I decided to have allergies and sit here again, which sucks because it makes me more in pain. But you know, yay. But yeah, with waiting and seeing what happens, I do I do that a lot, where I realize in a bad situation, I'm like, how bad can it get? Because last time I did my self-injection, blood trigger warning mention, I took out the needle and it kind of went, and I'm like, and I thought I was gonna die. Anyways, continuing. I feel woozy from it. I don't like me bleeding or needles in me, which you're like, don't you have tattoos? Or is it, don't you have tattoos? Yes. Don't you have a bunch of piercings? Yes. Do I like needles in me? No. No, I do not. So anyways, so I caught I caught all of it in my hand, and I was like, what do I do? And my brain's like, let it run down your leg. And I'm like, no, I think I should figure out, because I could have instantly got a paper towel, put it in my hand so the blood wouldn't have run down my leg, and my brain was just like, no, you should just remove your hand and let it go. And that's what I did. Because my brain's like, let's see how bad this, can get. Like, let's just see how bad it can get. And I'm like, oh my god. So it like ran down my leg, and I'm just like standing there like, why was my first instinct to be, because it was still bleeding a little bit, but it didn't bleed anymore. It was just one build up, I guess, pressure, and that was it. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, okay, well, let's see how bad things can get. And so usually it's not that bad. Usually, thank God, I'm not in a lot of emergency situations. And if someone's actually hurting or is in a situation, I fix it, obviously. I'm not friggin' RuPaul. Hate that guy. Can I mention that? Did I ever mention that? I heard someone recently use a RuPaul quote, and I'm like, I thought we didn't like him. This was this was a hot minute ago. I think it was from like a year ago or something. But someone used a RuPaul quote, and I'm like, he fracks in his yard, and which is super damaging. We know the effects of it. It's not good, and it was illegal. He let someone drown. Actually, like, does not know if that guy survived. He is anti-trans despite being part of you know, being drag culture and drag and trans culture were so intertwined. I understand not getting it. Personally, for me, growing up, I did not get drag culture. I didn't understand it. I was very confused. I kind of was like, are you making fun of women? I realized drag kings existed. I instantly fell in love with them, and then I'm like, wait. And then I realized I'm not in love with drag kings. I wanted to be a guy, but anyways, let's move on. So he is also just really dumb, apparently. Recently my sibling told me, and so this was from somewhere, I do not know if this is true, but apparently he watched the musical Dear Evan Hansen and thought the name of the protagonist was Dear, and not being like dear, as in like greetings, you know, on a letter, like Dear Evan Hansen. They're like, no, it's like love Victor, love Simon, love, like, you know, the signing of the name. It's the opposite. They're writing each other. No, it would be just, all just be, it's one letter. They're writing each other. Simon is writing to Evan, obviously. Anyways, so apparently, maybe he's also just not that bright. Anyways, he's not a great guy. He apparently just says pretty horrible things often. But anyways, what was the point? Oh, I like seeing how bad things can get, or how long it will last if I don't have any stakes in the game. No one has any stakes in the game. So I was at a red light, and there was 2 lanes, and they were both completely full. And I was the last line in this one, and the car in front of me, and then everyone else, right? Turned green. Both had arrows. Turned green. Everyone else starts moving. The car in front of me does not move. I look. No one's behind me. No one's in the other lane. And I sit there, and I see the lights green, and this guy is just not moving. I'm just like, I got a coffee. I don't want to, we're just heading home, we're not going anywhere, so I have no stakes, and because no one's behind me, no one has any stakes in the game. And I just sit there, and I wait, because now the light has been green for a while, and I kind of thought it would turn yellow, and then it did. So it was very, like, yellow. Even if we started going now, there's no turning. So what do? I sit there, and I wait. Yellow turns to red. The guy still doesn't move. So I'm sitting behind him, literally drinking my coffee, as I'm watching this guy in a red light. Clearly 2 lanes have moved. And I'm like, well, if something happened to the guy, something would have happened. Like, the car would have moved, or... So it's like, the guy is fine. He just isn't paying attention. So I'm sitting there, and I was like, hovering to honk when it turned, like, it was still green and was turning yellow, but I decided not to. And I waited. Other people now got green, and they're moving. And I'm sitting there, and that's when I hear in the lane next to me, honk. I guess the guy now paying attention looks up, and I can feel, I don't see his face, I feel the recognition of him looking to the side. And looking to the other side and seeing a lane completely clear, completely, like, 10 cars, 8 cars in front of him. 8 cars are just, it was a very long turn lane, so I don't know how many, but quite a lot of cars in front of him, just completely gone. And I'm just sitting behind him. And as much as I'm very glad that the person next to me had the compassion to honk, because they might have thought that I couldn't honk for some reason, or I felt guilty, which I did at first, but now I kind of just wanted to see if it would turn green again before he noticed. But the thing is, I don't know with this traffic light. With some of them, it's a sensor, but with some of them, it's just a timer, so I don't know what it would have been. But I kind of wanted to see how long he would have just waited before he pulled up without any noise indication. So I don't know why, it's like a weird thing I do, where I just wait and see. And I'm just waiting and seeing how it turned out, but oh, it was so funny because the recognition, like, him literally, because I could see his little outline, him just looking around like, I didn't just miss my green light. I missed my green light, my yellow light, and these other green lights are going for some period of time already. So I missed it was quite a while, and he must have just not been paying attention. And so in our pantry, we always decide not to throw it away whenever we clean up the pantry. And which, we do. We clean up the pantry and the fridge. But what happened is, we have a really old box of pineapple upside down cake. I remember back in the day when it was still good. It has expired in 2006, 2007. We just refuse to get rid of it. Worst part is, it's not even sealed anymore. I'm 95% sure we were a little bit low on cake mix for some reason. Opened it to use it because it itself didn't have anything weird. It was just normal cake mix. And it's just a box of cake mix because we don't really use cake mix back when we were little. We did, but so it was like either we can have cake mix, or then when we got older we started using a regular one. But 2006, we just didn't really do anything with it, and we didn't have the ingredients to make it a pineapple upside down cake, so we just never could make it. So the fact that we have a cake, I think it's still there, I want to check, from 2000, and I'm gonna say 7 just to benefit of the doubt, but definitely positive that, or possible that it could be 2006. For so long, because I remember Psych, the TV show, came out around that time, and I remember watching the seasons progress, and always making a joke like, we can make a pineapple upside down cake with the one that's expired downstairs. So it's just the fact that like we still have that and just never. My favorite part is that I don't even know. The company still exists. I wonder if they sell the pineapple upside down cake mixture, because I would love to play a joke on it where like I switch out the bags on the inside and then like make it or something. The problem is, I don't think it could have worked. I wonder if I could take out the box and like trick someone into thinking I used it. But anyways, it was so funny. I would have took a bite out of it, but it's gluten, so I think people would be like, what are you doing? It's expired for 14 years. It's expired for 14 years and it's gluten. What are you doing? But it's so funny to me. Like, it is just, like, we throw out other things that are old and expired, and like we don't use it, whatever. But not that. At least not for a hot minute. Over 10 years. We did not throw that thing out. And it was because we just purposely just kept keeping it because I thought it was so funny. So like a few times they're like, I'm going through this way, and I'm like, no. I don't know why. It's one of those, my brain just loves going, fuck around and find out. And I'm like, you're right. We should. And no, I shouldn't.